Welcome to the Jones Zone, a podcast by Darryl and JJ Jones.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Jones Zone. Today, we're going to explore the beautiful state of North Carolina. And our guest today is Scott Shirey. Scott Shirey and I have been friends for 40 years. Over 40 years, huh?
Yeah.
You were actually my very first roommate. No, my second roommate ever.
You were my first.
Yeah. Well, roommate. Let's make that
Imperial
clear.
Terrace or Imperial, yeah, right off Air Vista there.
In Brea. So Scott just moved from, Corona, California to North Carolina. So we're going to do an episode on North Carolina for those Californians who are considering retiring and or for whatever reason, moving out of state, and they can kind of delve into what North Carolina has to offer. So why did you move to North Carolina, Scott?
Got tired of California and the traffic and the nonsense and the high prices. And I have family that live out here in North Carolina, and they've been bugging me for a couple of years to come check it out. And I did and fell in love and got home, called my favorite realtor and, hey, can you put my house on the market? And here we are.
And here we are. And knowing you, you're a big sports fan too. So the colleges and universities, I mean, what is it called? The Tar Heel State?
It is the Tar Heel State, Tobacco Road, Duke, North Carolina, NC State. I'm about an hour and 15 minutes from them.
Wake Forest.
15, 20 minutes from Wake Forest.
Got some big schools, big time schools.
Big time schools.
And what city are you in North Carolina?
I'm in Oak Ridge, which is just outside of Greensboro.
Okay. And how far is that from the coast and from the surrounding areas? In the middle of the state, the south, north, west, east? Where's that at?
It's northwest, about 40 miles from the Virginia border. It's about a 3.5 hour drive to the coast from here.
All right. All right.
45 minutes to the mountains. Yeah, Pilot Mountain. Mount Airy is also known as Mayberry, where Andy Griffin grew up. And so you go there and it's like going into Mayberry.
And how long have you been there now?
A little over 2 years now.
And then you sold your house. We sold your house in Corona for how much did we sell your house in for Corona? And tell us the details of that. If I remember correctly, it was a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, around 2,000.
It was about 1,700 and change square foot, like 1,730 square feet. It was a 4-bedroom, but one of the bedrooms was converted. So it was more of a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. But it was sold as a 4-bedroom because you can convert the other bedroom back.
Yeah, it was kind of new, well, relatively new compared to a lot of houses in Orange County. What was that, built in the 90s or 80s?
94.
94. Okay. And then what did we sell that for?
$650.
$650. And then you purchased in North Carolina within a couple of months or simultaneously, correct?
Yeah, right away.
Yeah. And then what were you able to obtain over in North Carolina? Tell us about the price, the house?
Just under 2 acres. It's about 2,500 square feet, so a little bit larger than the house I had in California. Kind of in the woody area. So I got trees all around me, which is nice. Came in, remodeled it, gutted it pretty much, and started over. I paid $318 for it.
2-story or single story?
It's a 3-story. Well, if you count the basement.
Okay, so 2-story with a basement. What's the biggest differences you've seen from California comparing it to North Carolina?
Slower pace. People are very slow pace here. That was a little get used to, considering, California is always fast paced. It's like zing, 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 zing. You go to the grocery store and you got to wait for the guy to finish his story with a checker. If it's 35 mile an hour speed zone, they're going 35 miles an hour. But friendly. I haven't met a mean, rude person yet. It's phenomenal. I mean, I absolutely love it. You get 4 true seasons here. Was never accustomed to in California, which is nice. It hasn't snowed here. It snowed here my first winter. It didn't snow last winter. February is generally when it snows out here, January, February. So we'll see.
Well, since you delved into weather, so you get 4 seasons. What's your hottest month? August?
July, August. It gets into the 90s. I don't even recall hitting triple digits last year, like 96, 97. Might get the hottest. The humidity's tolerable. I mean, it's not bad. Like I tell everyone, you're going to sweat in 110 degrees out there, or you're going to sweat in 97 degrees out here. So
it's not super humid. For example, Florida, I think, Tennessee, other states can be.
Not like Florida. I've been to Florida many a times. The humidity's a lot denser there. We have our days out here. Don't get me wrong. There's some days where it's a lot thicker than others. Overall, I mean, I love it. I mean, it's great.
You mentioned already about didn't even snow this last winter. So obviously it doesn't dip too much lower than 40 degrees, 30 degrees.
The nights can get chilly. Last year we had single digits for a week.
Oh,
The coldest it got during the day was like 29 degrees. In night times, it can get chilly, like having a heat wave in California. It's a couple weeks, maybe a week.
what about any other weather activities? Do you have? Okay, you guys get hurricanes there, earthquakes,
No earthquakes.
storms.
We did have a tornado warning a few weeks back. Or excuse me, a watch, not a warning. There's tornado watches and then there's warnings. But yeah, it wasn't that bad. The hurricanes that hit here, I'm so far inland. By the time we get it, it's mainly just a lot of rain and the wind is cut down quite a bit. My cousins have lived out here for decades. And I mean, even the big hurricanes that came through 10 years ago hardly affected.
And then what about critters? It was funny. I was talking to an agent in South Carolina and she said, well, we have alligators. I said, what? So do you have any critters? How about mosquitoes, bugs, insects, any nuisances?
Well, the insects are definitely bigger, stronger, and faster in North Carolina. You could probably hop on a mosquito and fly back to California. It's not bad. The ants are bigger, spiders, just typical insects. I mean, nothing crazy. The carpenter bees are big.
Would you say it's worse, more mosquito bites in North Carolina than you did in California? Or less, or same?
No, definitely more. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
But not crazy amounts. Nothing to be alarmed about.
What surprised you the most about North Carolina? Did you have any big surprises that you weren't expecting?
There's wildlife out here. I wake up several mornings and there's a family of deer right outside my backyard, which is nice. It's pretty cool. And everything I anticipated when I came out here is pretty much what's happening.
So no disappointments?
No disappointments at all. I mean, none.
How are the taxes? Do you have state tax there in North Carolina?
3% sales tax. There is a state tax. My property taxes are about a third what they were in California. $2,400 this last year, and I was close to $6,000 in California on my house.
What about the cost of living? Notice a big difference on your utilities, your food, your insurances, and anything like that stands out?
My average bill in California was $6 something a month. The most expensive it's been here is $240. And bigger house. And my house is all electric here, where in California it was a lot of gas. So I don't have a gas bill here. I'm on a well, so I don't have a water bill. So yeah, the utilities, a lot less money than I was paying in California for sure.
How long does it take you to fly from North Carolina to California, vice versa?
Well, I haven't flown to California. I've flown to Vegas. Vegas was, I think it was 5.5 hours.
Yeah, that sounds about probably what it would be. And then how far are you from the closest airport?
Greensboro International is about 10 minutes from my house.
Wow, that's pretty close.
It's close. There's Charlotte, which I'm about an hour and a half from Charlotte, and about an hour and 15 minutes from Raleigh. Those are the three main airports. I think there's one in Wilmington as well, which is the coast. But I've flown out of Charlotte, I've flown out of Raleigh, and I've flown out of Greensboro. So.
Pretty good airports?
Yeah, real good airports.
What's there to do? I mean, are you been able to hit some of the college games? I mean, goodness gracious, if you're a college sports fan, it sounds like you've just landed where you need to be.
It's pretty crazy. I have not gone to a college football game yet. I work every Saturday, so it's kind of out of the cards. I've been to a couple NFL games in Charlotte. Those were fun. Well, I mean, I'm 3.5 hours from the coast. There's I haven't gone yet, but the Outer Banks. I want to check out the Outer Banks. Kitty Hawk, where the first flight transpired between the Wright brothers, is there.
Obviously, it sounds as though you have mountains and lakes and rivers and streams, etc.
Tons of lakes, tons of creeks. Fishing's real big out here.
What's the economy like there? Do you have an industry that's really popular there?
There's a big Honda plant over by the airport. High Point, which I'm fairly close to High Point, it was the furniture capital of the world. Still considered the furniture capital of the world. Thomasville's close to me, Thomasville Furniture. So furniture was a really big deal in this area at one time. Like anything else, it's more now just assembly from parts flown in.
So the job market's pretty healthy.
Yeah. I can't even remember seeing a homeless person here.
Well, that is actually a big thing here. And then how about medical? How's the medical situation there? You got doctors close by for those of us that are retiring and moving there that, are a little bit on the second half of their life.
Well, you got Duke University, which is, I would say similar to like USC or UCLA as far as top notch. University of North Carolina is top notch. Wake Forest has a top notch, medical program. I haven't had an issue. I mean, I've only been to the doctor once since I've been here, but it was really easy. It was not long waiting lines from what I understand. I mean, but yeah, the medical doesn't seem to be a problem. It's world renowned. Duke is world renowned. So for medical.
How are the North Carolinians?
North Carolinians?
Carolinians. Anyway, how are they treating the Californians? Like I had mentioned earlier, I'm trying to do this for a lot of the states that Californians are heading to. And oftentimes they go, yeah, you just don't want to let them know that you're from California.
Open arms, as long as you're not bringing your politics with you.
Yeah, I hear that a lot.
No problem with me on that end, but I've met several California transplants since I've been here. Before Corona, I lived in Temecula, and I've met 2 people from Temecula. I met a lady that she moved from Temecula as well, and it's crazy how many transplants that you do meet that are from California.
How about the restaurants? Plenty to eat there? I know you're a foodie like myself.
Well, the Mexican food, quite frankly, sucks. It's nothing like California. I mean,
it is what it is.
Yeah, not even close. But yeah, great barbecue. If you love barbecue, great barbecue. Southern food, biscuits and gravy in the morning. That's a big thing. The food's great. But I would say the Mexican food and the sushi is good, but it's just not like what I was accustomed to in California.
Now, what about the big question that everybody wants to know? Is there an In-N-Out burger there?
There is not.
Oh,
they're actually moving to Tennessee. So we're probably the next step, I would think. They agreed to go to Tennessee. So, all the transplant Californians are hoping for that. They have a place out here that, when I first came out here, that's very similar to In-N-Out. So I went and checked it out. I go, hey, it's nothing like In-N-Out. Not even close.
Yeah, well, I know we love our In-N-Out burgers. So that one is gas today. Gas today is in California here. It's a little lower. It's election year, so it's around $5 a gallon here, a little over $5.
I paid $2.89 the other day.
Oh goodness! Wow. Now, is there anything you would tell a Californian who's considering moving to North Carolina? Any advice?
Well, I would definitely do some research on the areas. Just like anywhere else, there's good and bad. I would definitely do some research. Coastal areas all seem to be great. Where I live in Oak Ridge is great. Not very many bad areas, but there are a couple. When I did my research on the house here, my number one thing was the schooling and crime rate. Obviously, the crime rate is nothing here. But, if you go 25 minutes up the freeway, you're in a higher crime zone, and the schools are rated a lot lower. The school was a 9 out of 10 when I picked it out here. So I wanted to make sure that, my kid had a fighting chance when he came out and got to experience North Carolina himself.
It sounds like they have some really good schools. Very happy with your choice. You're glad you moved to North Carolina, it sounds like.
Very happy. Yeah. Highly recommended. Yep.
Awesome. All right. Well, hey, everybody, that was kind of a shorter one. If anybody has any other questions whatsoever, send me a text or call or comment in the show notes. And hopefully you found this really helpful. For those of you who are considering moving out of state, North Carolina may now be on your radar. If you have any questions for me, just shoot me a text, 714-713-4663. If you want to get hooked up with a real estate agent in North Carolina, we can facilitate that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off now. And thank you for watching another episode of the Jones Zone. Take care, everybody. Scott, I'll talk to you later.
Hey, buddy.